First things first, after this weekend, are we convinced Aaron Rodgers is completely and totally happy in Green Bay? The Brooklyn Big Three could be all together again tonight. Are they ready to go on an NBA title run, Nick? And the new Space Jam trailer featuring King James has arrived. Is it heating up the GOAT debate already? Are we still having one? Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds. I never do this. I'm going to hijack the first moment of the show and say, it is great to be here Monday morning. My kids are back in school after spring break. I finally met Michael J. Fox after 40-some-odd years on this planet this weekend. And Gonzaga made for a solid Saturday night.
Congrats, Jenna.
I'm in a great mood.
Congrats, Jenna.
Thank
Big
you
weekend
so much.
for you. Big weekend.
Yeah, you didn't even know I was a Gonzaga fan. That's the best part. That is where we're going to start this morning. We'll get to all that Michael J. Fox stuff in just a second. UCLA, the Zags, NCAA Final Four, and the moment that capped it, watch it right here. Freshman Jalen Suggs. That is from 40 feet out. That was with time winding down, and that was for the win. Gonzaga, undefeated, unbelievable win as they move on to face Baylor tonight in the title game. But let's just stay on this for a second. For Suggs, a night, a moment we'll never forget.
I don't know. I've always wanted to run up on the table and, like Kobe and D. Wade and go like that. And, I mean, that's the first thing I did. But, man, that's something that you practice, on your mini hoop as a kid or in the gym just messing around. And to be able to do that, it's crazy.
But he said, just like D. Wade did it, and D. Wade chimed in. Look at him right there. I jumped on my kitchen table after you hit that shot, bro. LeBron also chimed in and said he predicted that winner from Jalen. And Patrick Mahomes with the tweet, "Are you kidding me?" Echoing the sentiments of all of us as well. Nick, I'll start with you. What was the best part of Gonzaga's win, do you think?
Well, the best part was this shot and the block and pass sequence Suggs had earlier, because that guarantees that Jalen Suggs lives on in some form forever. I'm not sure this Gonzaga team will. If they win tonight, they will, obviously, but I'm not so sure they're going to win tonight. And even if they win tonight, I know they'll be the first undefeated team in 45 years, but they're not going to be considered one of the true greatest teams in the history of college basketball. But this will be considered one of the greatest moments in the history of college basketball after one of the greatest games in recent tournament history. And the other part of this that it's so special is because it was this player, the best recruit Gonzaga's ever had, a guy who I believe is going to make an all-star team or two or three or four in his NBA career. And we don't have a lot of our star players in the league anymore that have great tournament moments. Steph obviously did. Melo obviously did. Anthony Davis did. But KD didn't. KD wasn't his fault. Rick Barnes was his coach, and so they only went as far as they did. Giannis, Luka, LeBron never went to college. Nikola Jokic never went to college. We don't have a lot of the through line of amazing collegiate tournament performance and moment to great pro career. And I think Suggs, who's going to be a top 3 pick of the upcoming draft, has a chance for that. So, Brandon, from the block to the pass to the game winner to the celebration, it all is just, crusting towards tonight's game. And no matter what happens in tonight's game, we will see this shot forever. And I think we're going to see Jalen Suggs in highlights for the next 15 years. So that's exciting for me, Brandon.
Right, and that's the answer. Everything you just said, it was all of it. If you followed Gonzaga all year, you knew they were just whooping teams left and right. I mean, I think they beat every team besides one team by double digits. This was a sensational game, and obviously, like you just said, we're only going to remember this shot. But this game had 19 lead changes. This was the type of game that kept you on your feet. This is the type of game that you would pay for. Like, if this was a pay-per-view game, you would pay for it. It was that good, Nick. It was that good. Wilds absolutely loved it. And obviously, we're going to continue to see this big shot. But, Nick, you talked about it. 2 minutes left in the game. We're talking about Jalen Suggs. He runs down the court and blocks a big. Dude, Cody Riley is 6'10". He goes down there, slaps his stuff, and then he keeps it in bounds and throws a sensational pass wild for a dunk. They could have went down 2. They went up 2, and that was a defining moment in the game. And unfortunately, we won't talk about it enough. We won't see that highlight enough, Wilds.
Oh, the block? Yeah, well, I'm just really, so far we've gotten through one part of the show without Nick saying one of the best blocks since LeBron James. We'll see if we can go the whole show, everybody. Stay tuned. Go to Fox Bet. You can make some bets whether or not you're going to say it. Over-under is at 0.5, so we'll see what happens. Kind of nerdy, Nick, but I like that Mark Few didn't call a timeout there. Too often, I think, especially in the college game,
that's right.
Coaches get in like, oh, timeout. But Mark Few had a total confidence in his team, and it's something that you mentioned, which I thought was fascinating. They won 27 straight games by 10 points or more. Their average point differential in the last 2 years is 21. So, Nick, they are not used to playing close games, but rather than getting tight, I think that has fostered a confidence in them, not only with the team, but also Mark Few's like, go ahead, go out there and play. I want to push back on you a little bit, though. Why don't you think, or it didn't seem like you're willing to say that this will be one of the best college teams ever, even if they go undefeated? Why?
Oh, well, let me respond to the timeout thing real quick, and then I'll answer that. Listen, we very often, if the shot's made, we're happy they did or didn't call a timeout. The last shot like this in college basketball history of this magnitude, Chris Jenkins for Jay Wright and Villanova, they obviously did call timeout after North Carolina hit the 3. He made the shot, so we say good timeout by Jay Wright. But I agree with you. In the flow of it, it seems like it worked out, even though it ended up being a leaning, jumping 40-footer that banked in. But the reason I won't consider this one of the greatest teams ever is because flatly, it's not. Like the UNLV teams were better, the Leitner Duke teams were better, Antoine's Kentucky team that had 9 pros on it were better. You pick 5 separate UCLA teams that were better. I think the Anthony Davis Kentucky Wildcats team were better. So I understand, like, I just listed all those teams. I didn't include the last team to go undefeated, the 76 Hoosiers. That was a really, really good team that happened to go undefeated. The 75 Hoosiers were probably better than the 76 Hoosiers. So and by the way, I'm not convinced Gonzaga wins tonight. But if they do win tonight, they'll have the designation of the last team to go undefeated. Right. But I think people that watch college hoops understand the era is so different that it doesn't really stack up as far as pros on the roster, even though I think Gonzaga's probably got 4 pros, to some of the greatest teams in history, even if this is one of the greatest seasons in history, Brandon.
Right, and to your point, man, you can't go down as one of the greatest teams if you don't win tonight. And Nick, I know you love betting, and what's that term you guys use? A pick'em. Like, that's what tonight's going. I mean, that's what that game, this championship's going to be about between Baylor and Gonzaga. It's going to be a pick'em, man. Those guards are fast. They play great defense, so they're going to have another great test for them when they face Baylor. But I do want to say this, man. UCLA, what a wonderful run they had, Cinderella run, and it came down to the last moment. Jenna, we're talking about you hit a big shot, and then all of a sudden you don't get back on defense. It is a brutal loss for UCLA and Coach Cronin, who did a phenomenal job all year getting this team in position, and it came down to this moment. Look at this. Boom. You get the rebound, you put it back in. Get back on defense. All you got to do is get back on defense. Nobody's playing defense. He took 3 dribbles and then drains a 40-footer. Come on, Geno. Jeez.
But listen, we talk about this last shot, and we're going to, but you said it, Brandon, 19 lead changes, 15 ties in this game. It was still a great game start to finish. Time for Put a Grade on it. Jalen Suggs, again, one of college basketball's best freshmen. Get this, why are we showing you this video? Suggs had offers to play quarterback. That's football. From Georgia, Ohio State, and Nebraska. Kid can do it all, Brandon. So put a grade on his high school football highlights here, buddy.
Ask a football player to do it. Oh, this is man, I'll give him an A+. You need something done, ask a football player. Anything in sports, we can do it all.
America.
Look at this kid.
That's America. Let me tell you right now, if you need something done, there's a long list of people you should ask before your friendly neighborhood football player. I'm going to give these highlights a B. These are solid high school football highlights, Wilds. He made the right choice in sticking with basketball and going to Gonzaga. He's going to be the second or third pick of this upcoming draft.
All right, I'll give it an A+. You know, why not? Start Monday, A+. Oh, 100%. Great job.
You guys are such easy graders.
Even school is already getting great grades.
It's not over.
All right, let's talk some NFL now. How about the 49ers asking for a first-round pick in a Jimmy G trade? Is it too much to ask for? That's next. First things first.
I love it. I love it.
Well, drawing a blank, fellas. The Niners reportedly asking for Nick's all happy with himself. A first-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. A first-round pick 4 years after trading a second to New England for him. So, Brandon, the Niners wanting a first-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo is blank.
Well, a lot of people are laughing at this, but this is business 101. John Lynch, Coach Shanahan, they probably read The Art of Negotiation by Mr. Wheeler. Like, that's all this is. If they go out and they ask for a second, they're doing two things. They're going to give up their leverage, and they're only going to get a third round. And then it contradicts everything they're saying, like Jimmy G's our guy this year. If you come out and you ask for anything other than a 1 for a starting quarterback, you're saying he's not your starting quarterback. So this is business 101, Nick.
Yeah, and I think this is about right. I think now all first-round picks aren't created equal. Obviously, you're not going to trade a top 5 or a top 10 pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. But once you get to the middle or tail end of the first round, to me, that's about what an average starting quarterback on a decent, not great, but decent contract goes for. What I'm surprised by, Wilds, is that if it's as simple as the 15th pick for Jimmy G, why your beloved Patriots haven't done this yet and made you happy. So I think this is the about right compensation for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, we're not doing it because there's no other offers. None. This is like if I got an embroidered shirt that says KRW here and it didn't fit. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll put this on eBay. It's only for me. No one else wants it. I'm not Brandon Marshall, where I think if Brandon Marshall had cool clothes, like a Marshall jersey, people will buy it. To myself, it doesn't make any sense. So, Nick, I'm going to push back on you because I went through the draft list and I'm like, well, who are they talking to? It's an audience of one. Who wants Jimmy G besides the Patriots? Can you name another team? I honestly can't.
Denver?
Denver?
Denver? John Elway likes overrated tall quarterbacks. That would work for him.
Denver's got the 9th
I feel
pick.
like it's
You want to trade the 9th? The 9th pick?
No,
for
I
Jimmy
think Denver
G?
would be.
You'd
I think
happy?
Denver would be trading their second round pick and something else.
Okay, I'll buy that. Yeah. See, now you're out.
Oh,
See?
we lose.
And I'll move on.
Tracy Willis will buy your shirt.
Something else, and that's it. By the way, Wilds, Laverne, also of Laverne and Shirley, cannot sell any of her embroidered shirts. To the Jets now, former Jet Josh McCown, pulling back the curtain a bit on Sam Darnold, said Sam would, quote, embrace the team using the number 2 pick on a quarterback. Brandon McCown's comments on Sam Darnold are blank.
Believable. Because it's coming from Josh McCown. Josh McCown played with him. He mentors the kid. And look, this kid, I met him, Nick. You talk all the time about quarterbacks and how they're sensitive sometimes when, there's competition or teams start flirting with other quarterbacks. But I'm telling you, this kid is built the way you would want him to be built. You would like this kid. He is that type of dude. He's even keel. He doesn't care. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you don't go out and you keep 2 quarterbacks at this level. You go get the value that's out there and you add a player that can help you right now. So it's believable, but it doesn't matter. Go trade him, get a second, or you just said maybe a late first rounder, and then you bring somebody in that can help that young quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think this is believable, Brandon. I think it's definitely a lie because Sam Darnold's not an idiot.
Whoa.
And he wouldn't be competing for the quarterback position. I'm not saying you're wrong, Brandon, that Darnold wouldn't want to compete. But if you draft a quarterback at number 2, they're not competing. It's that quarterback's job, whether it's Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, whomever it is, it's their job. So the only reason Darnold would be embrace them drafting a quarterback is if he doesn't want to be a Jet anymore. And Brandon, you've brainwashed me into thinking who wouldn't want to be a Jet? It seems like it's the best franchise in sports. So I say this is definitely a lie from our buddy Josh McCown.
See, I think this is true. And Brandon, I'm going to throw it to you here. I've yet to see anything on film that Zach Wilson has done that I haven't seen Sam Darnold do or think Sam Darnold can do. Grant, if you want to draft Justin Fields and he runs a 4.4 and Sam Darnold can't and you want to go another direction, I totally get it. But Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold, and with Sam Darnold having more years of experience and more familiarity in the system, even though we've got a new coach, I'm still taking Sam Darnold. So I think this is smart, unless your Jets are like, you know what, we're done with Sam Darnold totally. We're not trying to win this year. Let's just move forward for the future. Do you think the Jets have any hopes of winning this year, or are you guys tanking again for yet another quarterback?
Well, first off, I don't even want to answer your question because you're putting Zach Wilson in the conversation. All last week, I debunked this whole thing that we're taking Zach Wilson, and then you start off this week, Monday morning, talking about Zach. Well, no, we're not. We're taking Justin Fields. No, we're not.
No, they're not.
No, we're not taking. What will we take? We're going to go win right now. There's no Tom Brady.
Because you're not in charge. Listen, I agree they should take Fields. Unfortunately for you and Jets fans, they're not. But also, what is this?
Hold on, I got Woody Johnson on the line.
Call Woody. Yeah.
You have to dial the phone first.
Woody, can you tell Nick and Kevin and Jenna that we're not taking Zach? Please tell these guys. Yeah, Woody said we're taking Justin. He told me.
Oh, God.
Movie review time. Movie trailer review time. The trailer for Space Jam: New Legacy came out this weekend. LeBron James, the star, with a supporting cast of other stars. Brandon, the Space Jam: New Legacy trailer is blank.
This is game-changing. I typically don't watch movies like this, but when I saw the trailer, when I saw the sizzle release, I got goosebumps. And the first thing I could think about was LeBron James and team giving all athletes the blueprint. Like, guys, if you're an athlete and you're not watching LeBron James and how he's moving and conducting himself, then you're wrong. You're missing it. This dude been working on this project for 3 or 4 years. We kept hearing about it. And then all of a sudden they come out with this amazing trailer. To me, it's bigger than basketball. To me, it's bigger than just the entertainment business. He is literally showing you how to use your platform and build something that's bigger than the sport that you play. So I absolutely love this by LeBron James and team. They're doing a phenomenal job showing that you can do more than just dribble a basketball or make a tackle or throw a baseball. You can do so much more. So I love this, Nick. Absolutely brilliant.
I think Brandon brings up a really good point. And if you're a young athlete today, you're very lucky. Because you have LeBron, who is setting the example of exactly how to build a brand. And then you also have Kevin Durant, who's setting the example of exactly how not to build a brand. You're like, okay, do everything he does, do nothing he does, and I should be in good shape. But I've got an answer here. My answer is disappointing. And you might say, Nick, why was it disappointing? The cinematography seems to be brilliant. The script writing, probably Oscar winning. Obviously, the acting, the little acting we saw looks to be transformational. So why was it disappointing? It was final confirmation, Wilds, that my scenes were on the cutting room floor. The fact that I wasn't in the trailer makes me think those 96 hours I spent waking up at 4 in the morning doing voiceover scenes for the in-game announcer might not actually be in the film. I had heard rumors that I'm only in the director's cut.
Is this true
I'd heard rumors, but now it's disappointing. America's never going to get to know for certain that I was in this movie. So it's disappointing.
No, time out. Are you joking? Be honest, Nick, you're a great entertainer. So please tell us the truth. Were you really in this movie? Were you, please? That's big news.
I can confirm
He's such a pregnant
that I am not in the final cut. I am not in the final cut. That's what I can confirm.
Oh, man.
Wilds, why do you look so perplexed? What's confusing?
Well, are you in any cut at all? Anywhere?
Right.
I don't know if I'm at
liberty
I don't know if I'm at liberty to disclose that. I'm not in this.
Read between the lines.
That's what you need to know.
Okay.
I'm not in this.
Screen Actors Guild. I respect
How much did you get paid?
There's rules. There's rules.
No, well, you know.
Come on.
No,
Come on. We're all family. Free.
What's my answer? Oh, my answer is futuristic. So I was reading about Don Cheadle. I just saw the trailer, and I was like, man, what did Don Cheadle do? He steals LeBron's kid? I was like, whoa, that is a real villainous move for a cartoon. It's like, oh, it's not Don Cheadle. You know what Don Cheadle is playing? An evil computer algorithm. So could you imagine, like, hey, we're going to do the Space Jam sequel, even though it's a new film. Like, all right, who's going to be the villain? Another alien by Danny DeVito? Like, no, an evil computer algorithm. And everyone in the Michael Jordan Space Jam are like, what's an evil computer algorithm? So it made me feel very old that the villains have changed so much. The original alien villains wouldn't even recognize them. And then also Nick had a part. So.
Finally, someone else
I
feels
tried to
very
talk him out of that, Wilds.
How about the Warriors? Boy, did they have themselves a weekend, and not in a good way. Are their problems fixable? We're bringing in Chris Broussard to toss that around. This is First Things First. Back here with Chris Broussard, and oh, how the mighty Warriors have fallen. Miserable weekend for them. All right, so Friday night, no Steph, no Draymond, no good. Dubs trailing by as many as 61 to the Raptors. They lost by 53. That is not a typo. 53. Steve Kerr was not happy after the game.
As delicately as possible, what is it like experiencing a game where your guys trail by as much as 61?
Humiliating for everybody involved.
All right, so then last night, big turnaround. Steph and Draymond were in the lineup. The Warriors still lost. Looked a little better. Not good enough to beat the Hawks, though. And look at the standings. Warriors dangerously close to falling out of the playoff picture entirely. Chris Broussard, the Warrior weekend that was. Big deal or no big deal?
It's not a big deal. I mean, look, the 51-point loss, that's bad. But I remember 1998, Portland lost by 50 or more and still made the playoffs. I remember in the 80s, Houston losing by more than 50, making the playoffs. So a team can have a horrible night, especially when Steph and Draymond weren't there. Look, go back a few years. If you take KD, Steph, Draymond, and Clay off the court, could I see that Warriors championship team getting blasted? Maybe not by 50, but I could see them having a bad night and getting blown out. So I'm not going to make too much of that. My big takeaway, though, is that they are more than a Klay Thompson addition next year away from winning a championship. And that's what they got to try to do. I think they'll be a top Western Conference team with Klay, but their goal, of course, is to win a championship. And they're going to need more than Klay Thompson to beat the Lakers and the Clippers and the Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia and some of these other, even a Milwaukee perhaps. So I was actually hoping, for the sake of really good competitive balance and to see if the Warriors could get back, that they could make a move for an Aaron Gordon at the trade deadline. I knew it was improbable, but I thought that, you know, they probably, we'll see if they bring back Kelly Oubre. But I would have tried to put Oubre in the deal to try to get an Aaron Gordon or somebody like that. Look, they won't have money this summer, but Blake Griffin will be out there as a free agent. Rashawn Holmes, I don't know if they can pull some strings to add a kind of an athletic big, but they're going to need something in addition to Klay to try to win a championship next year.
Yeah, listen, if the Sacramento Kings added Klay Thompson this summer, we wouldn't say, oh, they're title contenders. And right now, the Warriors are the Kings. They have the same record, a game difference in the standings, and there's over 50 games into the season. Now, I actually think the Atlanta game was a bigger deal than the blowout to the Raptors, but let's go back to that Raptors game, because Steve Kerr said it was humiliating for everyone involved. Well, I guess we can show the clip, deal with humiliation, everyone in different ways, because for Steph, at the tail end of this game, he's, everybody is kung fu fighting on the sideline in the midst of a game where his team trailed by 61 points, which is the second biggest deficit any team has faced in the last 18 years. But I think what's more instructive, to Broussard's point, was this fourth quarter sequence from last night when they had everybody. Because let's watch these 5 possessions as the Warriors are trying to get back in the game. And what you're going to see is a team that is screwed. Okay, so Steph and Draymond, their 2 best players, can't get on the same page. You deal with it. Then you have Oubre, who is a starter for this team. And guess what? The Hawks are like, you can take that shot. Next time down the court, this is really your only offense. Get it to Steph, let him shoot. He happened to miss it. Next time down the court, Andrew Wiggins, Broussard, one of his 10 favorite players, I think. Wiggins, why don't you go isolate? You're on a max deal. Clang, clang, clang. And then the shot that is indicative of how different they are than 5 years ago. Watch how they defend Draymond. They don't. That's not giving him room. That is everyone in the restricted area. You can't run offense like this. This was a 2.5-minute stretch where the Warriors had 5 possessions. They played good defense, and they couldn't cut into the lead. Because right now, this team is not a functional team offensively unless Steph goes incandescent. And I think Draymond is a big part of it. Wiggins has never been good. He's a part of it. Oubre's having a rough year. So, like, what are you going to do? So I feel like the Warriors, Broussard put it right, Brandon. They are not a Klay Thompson away from winning a title.
Right.
They might be a Klay Thompson away from making the playoffs because, as Jenna laid out, Brandon, they're a half game up from the 11 seed, even in the expanded playoffs.
Yeah, the ramifications of not only last night or this weekend, the last 8 games is big. It's Steph Curry moving on. Like, that's what I see. You know, if you look at these last 8 games, they won 1 game. How is that possible when you have Steph Curry, one of the greatest players ever? Like, come on. So the way this thing is shaping out to me is that Steph Curry, it's time for him to look elsewhere. They have no answers, Kevin. They don't. The best of Draymond Green we've already seen, and like you guys said, Klay Thompson, he comes back. Then what do you have? You're not competing. So this organization really need to assess what the future looks like for them, and they need to figure out how to move forward. And if I'm Steph Curry, I'm also doing the same thing because I'm 33 and I still have a lot of basketball left in me. Do I really want to just sit there out in the Bay and just wither away? No way. So, Kevin, this is big. Not only this weekend, not only the big loss, but the last 8 games is really telling to where this organization is headed.
Yeah. See, here's my thing, Broussard. What made this team great and different was the fact that they played with optimism and they played with joy. That was Steve Kerr's big thing. Play with joy, play with joy. And they just felt like a fun team to watch. They weren't the Pistons, the bad boys. They weren't like, they didn't have like the scowling Jordan. They played fun. But now I think the other edge of the optimism sword is swinging and really hurting them. They think they're going to be great when Klay Thompson comes back. They think, oh, next year, you know, we can still be good. But Steph's getting a year older, and they have won 38 games since Durant went down. I don't think if I'm Steph Curry, I'm constantly as optimistic. And I want to be like, you know what? Yeah, next year. They kept the pick instead of trying to move it to really maximize Steph's present. It reminds me a little bit of Patriots Tom Brady. All right, we're trying to be in the mix. Tom Brady's like, you know what? I'm done. I want to win right now. Go all in. I don't want to develop Wiseman. I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't want to develop him. I'm getting older. Let's win right now, and it's not happening.
Well, let me just talk about the elephant in the room, because we know there was a talk, a week or so ago, about LeBron recruiting Steph Curry to the Lakers. Now, most people poo-pooed it, which I agree. I don't see Steph leaving the Warriors, okay? I don't think it benefits him. His legacy is set. I don't think it benefits him necessarily to leave the Warriors. However, I'll throw this out. The one condition that it might make some sense, or at least, you know, become a conversation that we can take seriously, is what if Brooklyn runs through the league this year? What if they go through the Eastern Conference playoffs, lose a game or two, and then they go to the finals and play the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, whoever gets out of the West,
and they win
in 5 games or sweep them? And they look like the Kevin Durant Warriors. then it becomes, okay, we got to build a team that can compete with them. And that's when a Steph, LeBron, AD combination starts to make some sense. But outside of that, I don't think it makes any sense for Steph to even consider something like that.
So on that point, Broussard, you and I feel very similarly. I don't think that's going to happen with Brooklyn at all, but that's what I said last week is the only circumstances that exist is if Brooklyn ends up being this seemingly unbeatable team come the playoffs and every other guy around the league is like, well, what do we want to do? But I want to stay on Steph, and quickly I do want to throw it back to Broussard, because before this year, I had the audacity to ask the question of, what if the Warriors are bad? What does it mean for Steph? And there are different little segments of NBA media. There's the top tier, upper echelon. Broussard traffics in both. Broussard's in the top tier. He's at those cocktail parties. Kevin Wildes, I think, used to host those cocktail parties. And then he also hangs down in the muck with me, the guys throwing bombs, right? And I asked the question, what if the Warriors are bad? Because James Harden has never been on a bad team. Chris Paul's never been on a bad team since he was young. You look around the league, who's the best player other than Steph on a bad team? Is it Bradley Beal? And 2 weeks into the season, when Steph was averaging 35 points, folks that acted like that conversation was an insult, didn't even want to have it. They were willing to have it on the opposite end. They were willing to say, oh, for those fools that doubted Steph Curry, look now. All right, well, now we're 50 games in and the team's terrible. And Broussard, that's not supposed to happen if a great player's healthy. It's never happened to Chris Paul. It's never happened to James Harden. It's the first time it's ever happened to Russell Westbrook is right now, and Russ is no longer a great player. It's never happened to Durant. Forget LeBron and those guys. Does that not resonate at all when we're talking about a guy who is considered by some one of the 15 greatest players ever? His team's not, he's been here all year. His team's not supposed to be bad.
I'm not going to make that drop Steph's historical ranking. Number one, Allen Iverson had some bad seasons with his teams. Charles Barkley had some bad seasons with his teams. Russell Westbrook, I still think, is a very good player. He's averaging a triple-double. He just had 21 assists and 34 points, a triple-double nobody's ever accomplished. So he's still having a good player, but a bad year with his team. And it's also different, Nick, for small players. And you did mention correctly, Chris Paul never had a season like this. But small players don't carry their teams like this. And beyond everything else, here's the clincher for Steph Curry that trumps all. He was the architect of the greatest dynasty since Shaq and Kobe. He did that, all right? And he did it before Kevin Durant got there. We can argue over whether they would have won those rings had Durant not gone there, but he built this team. He's changed the game. He's one of only two small players, Isaiah Thomas, the legend, being the other one, who created dynasties built around themselves. So you can never take that away from Steph.
And I want to go back to what you said a couple minutes ago. You said if the Brooklyn Nets, this is the only scenario you see Steph Curry leaving the Bay. If the Nets, they run through the league, if the Nets get to the finals, they go against Denver, they go against the Clippers, they go against the Lakers, anybody who make it out the West,
Here we go.
and they sweep them, they win in 5. Then we can see it. Well, look, this is what I want to say. He better start packing.
Here we go.
He better start packing. Hey, West Hollywood is not a bad city. I like the hills. Beverly Hills is good. And guess what? His wife, Miss Curry, the Food Network has an amazing studio there for her. So they better get ready. They should start having those conversations right now.
If Steph goes to LA, he's trying to get West Hollywood. I promise you that.
Steph might try to get Bron to go to Golden State.
The Nets do have a bit of an announcement to make tonight. We'll get to that in a second, speaking of them. But we got to get back to some football. Aaron Rodgers, he's still unsure about his future in Green Bay. Always with him. It's more First Things First right after this. Back here talking to Aaron Rodgers now. So you'd think an MVP season and a trip to the NFC title game would put to bed any doubt about Rodgers' future in Green Bay. But look, the team did just draft a quarterback. And Listen, like it or not, this has been the Aaron Rodgers narrative for years now. In fact, just this weekend, he said he doesn't know if the future is in his hands. Take a listen.
Yeah, so far it's definitely been my team. I said last year I didn't know if that was actually possible to be able to finish there. I still feel like that's kind of where we're at. I mean, I don't know that a lot of that's in my hands, but I guess we'll kind of see as we go.
Well, when you say things like that, then he just said it's not in his hands. He might be right. Like, things get misinterpreted. Wouldn't you like to just proclaim, I'm there, I'm your guy. I want to keep throwing for Lombardi Avenue all day.
Ken, you and I both know that's not how it works.
No. Like Russell Wilson. He just answered a question.
Yeah. I'm not, necessarily going to approach it like how some of that stuff came out. But look, like I said last year, there's things that are just out of my control. The team has obviously the power to do what they want. My job is just to play as well as I can. I think there may have been, ideas about what certain things meant in the last year. I just focused on my play, went out and played really well, won MVP, and I've been having a hell of an off season. So that's kind of what's been going on with me.
The old wood paneling on the ceiling. Great. Greg Jennings, you spent 7 seasons with Aaron Rodgers. You hear what he said, how he answered the question. You think these comments leave you more or less convinced that everything is okay in Green Bay?
Well, Jenna, I'm not convinced that everything's okay in Green Bay from the standpoint of Aaron Rodgers' future and that being solidified. I do believe and I do understand how this works when it comes to organizations and for players. We all know, Brandon, you know this very well. Teams play chess, and any great chess player or any chess player that has any information or idea on how to play the game of chess, you don't play move by move without knowing what it is you want to do and how you're going to anticipate moving forward. And that's right. Organizations in the NFL. They know exactly what they want to do and how they foresee the future. Do they want Aaron Rodgers right now? I do believe, yes, they want him right now. But they drafted Jordan Love. They moved up in the draft to acquire a guy who they felt like would be the heir apparent. And so when you do and you make chess moves like that, you are saying that I got to see this guy play. So the future is uncertain for Aaron Rodgers as far as and in terms of him being a lifer for the Green Bay Packers. Would he like to be? Yes, he's said that. And are they saying some things that align with that? Yes, but the action doesn't always meet right there in the middle. And so, Brandon, for me, I just don't see it. I think it's an uncertain future for Aaron Rodgers. And I think he is saying it himself. He's fully aware of how this stuff works.
Hey, Greg, you know what I think Aaron Rodgers is really saying right now? He's saying, check. That's what he's saying. This is the perfect playbook for a guy who has all the leverage. Aaron Rodgers knows he has all the leverage. He doesn't have to say anything. How many times do we hear an athlete say, you know what, I just play ball, my agent handles all the business. But behind the scenes, you're sitting at the table, you're orchestrating everything, you know what's going on, and that's what Aaron Rodgers is doing. We saw this kid in practice. We know he can't replace me anytime soon. I don't even think they feel they can probably develop the kid. So Aaron Rodgers is sitting here saying, you know what, this is what I want. So I think they're in odds when it comes to what they're looking for. Are they looking for a 4-year deal? Are they looking for a 2-year deal? Guaranteed money? That's what this is about. I go back to February 1st when Coach Matt LaFleur came out and he made his comment. He said, this guy's here for a long time. This is what he said. So this is how you know the deal's going to get done. Is that a trick question when we was asked about Aaron Rodgers' future? Absolutely, LaFleur said. There's no doubt about it. You're talking about the guy that's going to win the MVP of the league. We're not in this position without him. So I couldn't be happier with not only his performance, but how he led this football team. All the little things he does within that locker room to ensure that everybody is locked in, focused, and ready to go. So yeah, absolutely, he will be here for a long time. I know I've said it before, but for a long time. Greg, Nick, this guy isn't going anywhere. This is him saying check. and trying to figure out if the Packers are going to step up and give him what he wants.
Well, then they should trade Jordan Love, because this is going to be an issue as long as Jordan Love is on the roster. Like, this is not complicated. You either trade Jordan Love or you recognize that Aaron Rodgers' future is going to continue to be a discussion point. If you're one that believes in distractions, it'll continue to be a distraction for the organization, and it's going to continue to be an issue. This isn't complex. The Jenna mentioned that there had been simmering tension for years in Green Bay, and that's right. But the tension seemingly was about Rodgers and McCarthy, and then we had questions about Rodgers and LaFleur initial relationship, but it seemed to go great. They went 13-3, had a home field advantage, or they went 13-3 and went to the NFC Championship game. But then they traded up to draft Jordan Love. And once that happened, that's when we started questioning his future. So, Greg, if the Packers really, if Rodgers does have the leverage, and the Packers really do want to commit to him, then cut your losses on Jordan Love. Listen, it was a bad draft pick. Can you get a second rounder for him? Maybe. Can you get a third rounder for him? Definitely, because he's only a year removed from being a late first rounder on most people's boards. And you cut your losses and you move on. But if you don't do that, then what you're going to have is the league MVP consistently adding a little fuel to the fire that, to be fair to Rodgers, Greg, they started. He did not start this fire. It was started by drafting Jordan Love, and until they put that fire out, it's going to continue to be there and flare up at times.
I 100% agree with you, Nick. Aaron Rodgers is not the type of guy that you can kind of set a fire and put it to flame, and then he doesn't add to that because of what you've already put in motion. But when we talk about Jordan Love, and I want to emphasize this, the Green Bay Packers, they're unlike a lot of organizations. They draft players to develop them. So they want to see Jordan Love, not only on the practice field that they're getting the opportunity to evaluate his play, but they want to see him on the game field. And I just don't believe that the Green Bay Packers are going to pack up Jordan Love, a talent that they moved up in the draft to draft, and then just say, oh, you know what, a team offer me something for him without ever being able to see him on the field. I just don't see that happening.
And let's not forget, who else did they develop? Aaron Rodgers, who sat behind Brett Favre for a while there while he was developing. All right, look at that. Kevin Wild's got himself a brand new segment. It's called Weird and Wonderful. Take it away, Kevin.
I got super into baseball this weekend, Jenna. First up, weird heads up. Angels, White Sox, 2 out, bottom of third, pop-up. Tim Anderson's like, I got it, don't worry about it. Luis Roberts like, no, I got it. Ball bounced off my head. Little Jose Canseco action here. Key to Jose Canseco when the ball bounced off of his head, he actually blamed it on his glove. Can't take your hat off and rub your head. Looks bad. Next up, here's something that happened yesterday that we haven't seen in 100 years. Ohtani pitching and hitting, and not just like adequately. He threw 100 miles an hour plus, fastest pitch of the year. It's like, okay, that was pretty good. What should I do when I get up? Hello, blammo. Highest exit velocity of the year. So if you're keeping track at home, he threw the fastest pitch and hit the hardest home run. Ended up getting hurt covering home plate in the 5th inning. But overall, historic and just general awesome moment. Oh, what's next, Katanik?
Impressive.
After this beautiful month, this is fantastic. Oh, here's a good one. Angels, Astros, 1 out in the 7th. Oh, darn it all, I popped out. That's terrible. Wrong. You end up getting an RBI because Altuve scores from third base on a pop-up to second.
This was amazing.
You can hate the Astros if you want. They're 4-0, and Altuve plays the game the right way, except, when they're hearing pitches from the banging garbage can. But other than that, this is just an overall awesome play. I'm rooting for Altuve. And finally,
that's an amazing
play. John Boy Media if you want to see this wonderful breakdown. Castellanos gets hit by a pitch. He's like, all right,
charge the mound
because I hit a home run a few days ago. He ends up getting around to third, wild pitch. He gets home, flexes on the pitcher. That's right. Boom. Woo. Everybody gets mad, even though Russell Westbrook would do that after, a dunk down by 20. And then at some point, he talks about Yadi Molina. They have a little face-to-face, and this is what he said post-game about the ultimate respect he had for Yadi.
But like I said, like, that guy could have punched me in the face. I still ask him for a signed jersey. But, like, I got nothing but respect for that cat, bro. He's a real one.
We got Chris Broussard back with us. Broussard, time to run the fast break. All right, here we go. The Sixers got Joel Embiid back Saturday night, 24-8. Philly got a win over the league's worst team in Minnesota. Hey, Chris Broussard, what do you make of the Sixers now that Embiid is back?
Jenna, I love the antics. I love the enthusiasm and obviously the great play that Embiid brings back to them. But I think of the Sixers what I thought of them before he got hurt. They're battling Milwaukee for the second best place team in the Eastern Conference. It's as simple as that. They're great. But guess what? Brooklyn is better. There's nobody in the league that can beat Brooklyn that's not named Brooklyn. If Brooklyn doesn't win it, it's because Brooklyn beat itself. Simple as that. If they're healthy and Kyrie doesn't take a sabbatical during the playoffs, they're good. All right, so Philly, I like you. You're a great team, but you're second or third best in the East.
Wow, this isn't about Embiid anymore. This is about what you just said, Chris. Like, now you're finally coming around. That was a hard stance. Like, you put your flag in the ground and said, the Nets are the best in the NBA, not just the East. Is that what I heard? Oh, my goodness.
Yes, I've been saying that.
Wow.
I said that a couple weeks ago on this show. Yes.
Listen, I'm glad the big is back. They were 7-3 without him, and now the best player on the planet is back. He needs to get a little bit healthier. He needs to knock off the rust. So now we won't have that asterisk when we say, the Nets. They swept everybody in the East because there was nobody there. No, Embiid is back, the best player on the planet. So no asterisk here.
I'll actually make this about the Sixers, not the Nets. But it should be noted, Brandon, you're right. Broussard did plant his flag, 2021 flag, very firmly in the ground right there. It's right next to his 2020 Clippers flag, which has gone unclaimed and is tattering about in the wind. And they're going to age similarly. Now, what I make of this is that Embiid came back just in time. Because if you look at what Philly's got, he's going to have about a week to get himself in shape. They only have one back-to-back over the next 2.5 weeks, so that'll be good. Because they have a brutal stretch starting a week from now. Dallas, Brooklyn, LA, Golden State, Phoenix, and then Milwaukee twice. Because of that stretch coming up, you needed Embiid back. And I know everyone's talking about Brooklyn. I get that. But here's the point. The point is that whomever gets the 1 seed in the East is going to be at a massive advantage because Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia, if you're not the 1, you're going to have to play one of those other teams in round 2. And Philly played well enough without Embiid that they're still in first place. That's massive. And yes, Brandon, you heard me say Phoenix.
Okay.
To be clear, no one said Phoenix isn't good. No one said Phoenix isn't good. We simply said Phoenix can't win the title. That's all we said.
You knew
Phoenix
I was coming,
is a good
Nick.
team.
Nick, you knew I was coming.
I was like, oh, my son's radar. Yes, Phoenix is a fine team. They just can't win the title, Jenna.
Okay.
That's the story, though.
Does that make you feel better, Brandon? Did he do it? All right, good.
Yes, 100%.
All right, so we teased Brooklyn a lot. Let's dive in a little bit. The moment Brandon has been waiting for, the moment Brooklyn's been waiting for. The big three might all be in the starting lineup tonight against the Knicks. Durant expected to make his return. These three, they've only played 7 games together this season. Broussard, what do you expect to see tonight if KD, Kyrie, and James Harden are all on the court together?
Well, look, considering that the Knicks have, according to Julius Randle, a big 15, I don't know. Maybe the Nets could be in trouble going against their crosstown rival. Leave it to the Knicks. They reach 500 and start talking trash. But anyway, to the Nets, I expect them to play well. They're 6-1 in those games you mentioned, Jenna. 6-1 when they have the big three. Durant, more than most 30-point scorers, can fit in fairly seamlessly. He doesn't need a ton of shots to get his points. He doesn't over-dribble. He can catch and shoot. He's a mid-range assassin. So I think it'll go fairly well. And now it's about them playing together consistently and building themselves up and getting their chemistry right heading into the playoffs. But I expect the big three to play well together. Harden's the key, though, with his unselfishness.
Yeah.
running the floor, running the show.
Yeah, I expect 3 of the best players in the NBA to dominate the Knicks tonight. I'd expect all 3 of them to go over 25 points. That's what I expect, Wilds. I expect Kevin Durant to come in, knock the rust off. You got Embiid that just came back from this knee injury. He went 24 for 8. So now we're talking about KD. What is he going to do? Let's watch.
Okay, so I think it'll be interesting if it's a close game or a blowout and how much Durant is going to play, Nick. I think if it's close, Durant's going to tell Steve Nash, like, hey, let me back in the game. So I think if you're a Brooklyn fan, you're hoping for a blowout, obviously, not only because you want to win the game by a large margin, but that you want KD to come back slowly, Nick.
Well, you mentioned Nash, and that is the man who I think is most interesting with the Nets right now in what he has to juggle. I don't know how many people have been paying attention to them the last few games since they got Aldridge, but all of a sudden, DeAndre Jordan, back-to-back DNP coaches' decisions. I wonder how that's going to sit with everyone when DeAndre was initially supposed to be the third of their original big 3. Nicholas Claxton, who's played great for them, he all of a sudden is getting 5-7 minutes a game because Aldridge is in there. Now you have Durant, who in short order should be playing 30 to 35 minutes a game. So I'm interested to watch how Nash juggles all of that. I'm also interested to wave goodbye to something because something's gone. It ended a couple days ago, and now it's officially, we can wave goodbye. The James Harden MVP momentum. Sad but true. Now that Kevin Durant's back and James Harden's no longer the best guy on his own team, it's going, okay, let's check in 2 weeks.
Not necessarily, Nick.
Oh, of course.
Not necessarily.
What do I expect to see tonight if the Nets' big 3 are all on the court together? What I expect to see is what I expect not to see. MVP James Harden, Brandon. I think that's gone now. He's not the best guy on his own team, hard to win the MVP.
This is James Harden's team. He is the point guard. It doesn't matter who you are and what team you're on. The point guard runs the show. That's James Harden's team.
Nick, Durant is historically the best player, but he hasn't been the best player this year. It's as simple as that. And if Harden takes a step back, you're right. Then his chances of the MVP will diminish. But if he continues to run the show and get you 24 points, 11 dimes, and he's the one setting the table for everybody, he still has a shot.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think the way they play is going to be changed drastically. You got the second best player in the league in Durant. You got to run things through him. I mean, it'd be crazy not to, Jen.
Well, let's see how many minutes he actually plays tonight. Let's finish up with a couple of veterans finding new homes. You got Boogie Cousins signing a 10-day deal with the Clippers. Isaiah Thomas, who hasn't played in over a year, signed a 10-day deal with the Pelicans. Broussard, which was the most interesting signing, Boogie or IT?
Jenna, neither one of these floats my boat. But if you force me to pick one, then I'm going to go with Isaiah Thomas. Because Boogie, Boogie, even when Boogie was a great individual player, he didn't really contribute to winning. So I don't think Boogie gives you anything. As far as Isaiah, he will put up numbers. He hasn't played a game in over a year. He's only played 84 games in the past 4 years. But if he's given the chance, and they've got a lot of injuries in New Orleans, so he should get minutes, he will put up numbers. He averaged 12 points in 23 minutes last year for Washington. So if he gets his minutes, he will give you some points. So I'm going with Isaiah.
I'm going to go with Boogie. It don't float my boat. It may roll my boat. I'm trying to find a nice little analogy there. I can't find one. But I got to go with Boogie because this is the team, the Clippers, they're primed and ready to go win it and win the West, excuse me. I like this. You know, obviously, this seems to be the Clippers still in the page out of LeBron James' book. Last year, they went and they got 2 bigs. They went out and they got, Dwight Howard. They had the big boy over there as well, and McGee. And now you got Ibaka, who's been banged up a little bit. And then you got Zubac, who's sitting there, he's playing well. And then you add Cousins. They're just going for depth. I like this for the Clippers.
Okay. Both of these signings float my boat. I love the IT signing. I root for him because Danny Ainge sort of treated him, let's say, poorly. Sorry, Jen, It's the truth. You sort of treated him wrong. So I always root for IT. How is he going to fit in with Stan Van's like defensive intensity? No clue. So that's what's intriguing there. And Nick, be careful. The Clippers had a little like, what's our identity? It's Kawhi's kind of soft-spoken, playoff P. We don't really know what's in. Now you got Rondo, tough, Boogie tough. Some real like emotional intensity there. So I like Boogie as well, Nick.
Yeah, I'm going to focus on the Boogie side of things. And Wilds mentioned earlier, take integrity is the foundational bedrock this show is built upon. And I have to admit, I'm a little nervous for the Lakers now, for the first time in a couple years. And here's why. I have been short selling the Clippers and to great profit over the last 2 seasons because they don't have a point guard and they don't have a center. But what I'm hearing is, if you guys saw the Space Jam trailer, you know that portal LeBron's kid went through? The Clippers got it. And they got Rondo dropped in, and they got the 2011 Rondo, and they got Boogie dropped in, they got the 2016 Boogie. And if you have the 2011 Rondo at point guard and the 2016 Boogie at center, this Clippers team is dangerous. But if LeBron can get that back in time, and we have to live in 2021, then the Clippers still don't have a point guard, and they still don't have a center. So I do think they'll be fine. But I got to check and see how the Space Jam rights work and the portal. It's a problem. So that's my concern, Jenna, because once upon a time this could have been dynamic. What's up, Brandon?
Can they just go back to last year in the bubble for Rondo? They don't need to go back to 2011. They just need playoff Rondo from last year, and they'll be fine.
Rondo, yes.
Yeah, I actually think the way Rondo did that, Jenna, was LeBron let him use that portal. He was filming Space Jam. Now LeBron has it back. So, yeah.
All right, let's hand out some NBA medals. Lonzo Ball had a career high 8 threes last night. Pels won, but Lonzo just missed a medal, which means 3 guys did it better. Nick, who are those guys?
Bronze medalist Pascal Siakam, 36, 7, and 5 in a game your team led at one point by 61 points. The second biggest lead in the NBA in the last 18 years. You were a part of it. You get a silver medal. Or bronze medal, pardon me. Silver medal, Drew Holiday. You know the only thing nicer than 33, 7, and 11 is $160 million. That's how you play it, Drew. You get a team to trade all their future draft picks for you, and then you say, hey, I'm not taking $1 less than the minimum. Drew Holiday celebrating his new contract with a great game. You know, it shouldn't have been that close, but Giannis wasn't playing, so you understand. Win over the Kings. Gold medalist. Speaking of Giannis, why wasn't Giannis playing? He was exhausted from annihilating the Blazers. 47 points on 18 of 21 shooting. 47 and 12 for the reigning 2-time MVP, who Broussard says has no shot of coming out of the East this year because of the Nets super team. So Giannis with a gold medal right there, Broussard.
Just a team.
Nick, looking at your medals, it sounds like you want to pick Milwaukee in the East? That's a lot of love for the Bucks.
Yeah, so Milwaukee and Philly is my Eastern Conference Finals pick. Brooklyn, like your Clippers last year, they get to round 2.
Stop being
and then
stubborn.
We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Stop being stubborn.
Yeah, you're saying that very softly, Nick. You clearly don't believe no conviction whatsoever in that tape. None whatsoever.
Joker gets fouled here. No call. So he's upset. Terrence Ross gets the ball. Joker, blammo! Terrence Ross like, what did I do? Then he goes over to the refs like, and the Joker ends up hitting the ref. He gets a common foul. No tech, does not get thrown out. Ends up getting 16 assists in the game, but we've seen guys get run up. Oh, I'm going to hit the ref too. Still not getting thrown out. No tech. The weirdest, play with just a regular foul. Should have at least gotten a tech there. So you missed the cut for staying in the game, I guess.
You missed getting a medal for that lovely display. We got to talk some Aaron Rodgers and his surprisingly murky football future in Green Bay. Are we convinced he's happy as a Packer? Have that for you next. Hey, Chris Broussard, thank you.
Thank you, Jenna.
Back here, first things first, time for stories to start your morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. You know, you would think an MVP season and a trip to the NFC title game would put to bed any doubt whatsoever about Aaron Rodgers' future in Green Bay. But Look, the team did just draft a quarterback, and this has basically been the Aaron Rodgers narrative for years now. In fact, just this weekend, he told Kenny Mayne he doesn't even know if the future in Green Bay is in his hands. Brandon, comments like these, do they leave you more or less convinced everything's okay in Green Bay?
Everything's okay in Green Bay. They came out and said it February 1st. This is Aaron Rodgers leaning into his leverage. This is a player that knows that he has all the leverage in the world right now. You draft a quarterback, then you had a year to see him. He's not going to dethrone Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers coming off an MVP year, should have been Derrick Henry. That's a whole nother conversation. And now the Packers are stuck. I think this comes down to what Aaron Rodgers wants. He may be looking for a 4-year deal, fully guaranteed or something, and then the Packers are like, yo, we're willing to give you 2 years. Go back to February 1st, and this tells it all. Nothing's changing here. Go back to Coach Matt LaFleur's comments back then. What did he say when they were asked about Aaron Rodgers' future? He said, is this a trick question? Absolutely. LaFleur said, there's no doubt about it. You're talking about the guy that's going to win the MVP of the league. Should have been Derrick Henry. We're not in this position without him. So I couldn't be happier with not only his performance, but how he led this football team, all the little things he does within the locker room to ensure that everybody is locked in, focused, ready to go. So yeah, absolutely, he'll be here for a long time. What did he say? I know I said that before, but for a long time. This is just business being done the way it's supposed to be done. Nick, that's all this is. Aaron Rodgers is leaning into his leverage.
So here's the problem, though. Matt LaFleur is talking above his pay grade. I'm sure Matt LaFleur didn't want Jordan Love. I'm sure Matt LaFleur wanted someone that could help him right now, but Matt LaFleur don't make the draft picks. Brian Gutekunst does. And Matt LaFleur doesn't rework contracts. Brian Gutekunst does. And Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst seem to have very different opinions. Because if Rodgers has all this leverage, then I would have liked to see the Packers do something this offseason to make him happy. They could have simply done a common restructuring of his deal to free up cap space and add more players. They didn't. That clearly upset him. They could have been active in free agency, which they rarely are. They weren't. Did they bring back most of the guys he wanted? Yeah, but not Corey Linsley, his center, who he wanted them to bring back. So Wilds, they haven't acted as if they are worried about repairing this relationship. And maybe that's because, Wilds, they know there is only one way to actually repair it. And that's to trade Jordan Love, and they don't want to do that. Now, I think that would fix it. I think that would remove any doubt from Rodgers' mind, and you would be able to get some type of value back for him, not a first-round pick like you traded. You traded a first and a third for Jordan Love to move up and get him. You might be able to right now get a third for Jordan Love, but at least so it would be admitting failure on that. But when Rodgers, in the year after you draft the quarterback, wins league MVP and you go 13-3 and you have the 1 seed and you potentially have a chance to go to the Super Bowl, I think maybe you should admit failure there, or just understand that this fire that you started, Rodgers is going to add more kerosene to it every once in a while, and you're just going to have to deal with that.
So here's the other problem, Nick. We don't know how good Jordan Love is. Last year, right at this time around the draft, Jordan Love, oh my goodness, Jordan Love, what do you think about Jordan Love? And the Packers go and grab him. And Brandon, you said something interesting earlier in the show, that you said that the Packers might not even get a chance to develop him. Can you dig into that a little bit? Is it because Aaron Rodgers is so good they can't develop him in practice? Or is it because Aaron Rodgers is so good? We saw the other first-round picks get snaps. Herbert got a ton of snaps, obviously. Tua got snaps until they pulled him out and put Fitzmagic in the game. Burrow was supposed to start all 16 before he got hurt. We didn't see Jordan Love at all. So is that the development issue, or is it a practice thing?
Well, you can certainly develop in practice, but you need those real reps in games. And I don't see Aaron Rodgers slowing down. What is he, 38 years of age? He just won the MVP. He looked sensational. It was probably his best year since like 2011 or 2012 when he made that tremendous run. His last MVP year, and those years could be a little off. But think about that. We're seeing Tom Brady play into his mid-40s. You think Aaron Rodgers isn't thinking the same? Aaron Rodgers takes care of himself. Aaron Rodgers still can do it. So now you got this guy that you drafted in the first round sitting there. So you got to make a decision. You got to do something there because you got a player that's sitting there and he's not helping your team get better. Unless you're gonna double down on him being a backup. But I don't see that happening, Nick.
Yeah. Well, and you don't spend a first-round pick on a backup quarterback. And listen, Jordan Love's value at the draft of 2020, we know what it was, a late first-round pick. Right now, his value is, I believe, probably a late second or early third-round pick. If he goes another year without playing, it only gets lower and lower. His value is only going to go down from here. And the Packers, I would argue, need to acknowledge that. As long as he is on the roster, you are going to have a somewhat unhappy quarterback. You caused that, and so Jenna, we'll see if they're okay with that. Thus far, they have been. Yeah.
All right. Wait.
Okay. Maybe that's it.
Big game tonight, you guys. The NCAA Men's National Championship game. Baylor and Gonzaga for all the marbles. Brandon, I'm going to start with you. Who wins it all? Take your pick, buddy.
Head, heart, head. My head says go with Baylor because that defense is sensational. Them guards are so fast. But my heart say go with the Zags. I got to go with them boys right now. Absolutely stunning victory over UCLA, so I'm going to go with the Zags.
Listen, I think this is going to be a great game. We were supposed to see this game early in the college basketball season. We didn't. I like Baylor. Baylor's had the far more difficult road here throughout the regular season and the tournament. During the tournament, they are yet to play a close game. They've beaten everyone by at least 9. They won their Final Four game by almost 20. You've got 4 pros on Gonzaga. You got 3 pros on Baylor. I think Baylor wins. I think that Gonzaga's undefeated season wilds comes a game short.
I think so, too. I think the emotional letdown of that big shot actually comes back and haunts them. I see Baylor winning by 10. And bonus prediction, Aaron Rodgers hosting Jeopardy tonight is going to be amazing. 2 predictions.
That's not such a hot, crazy take. Gonzaga tonight. After what happened Saturday night, they roll that forward. Have a great day, everyone. Undisputed starts right now.